Welcome to the Cynic Weekly. I am your host, Christopher Gallagher. It's the 5th of March 2026. We are hot and we are in the trenches as Celtic keep on rolling in the league, at least. Lots to talk about, lots to discuss. Barry Gallagher's here. Hello, Barry. How are you, sir?
Very well, thanks. It's an action-packed rundown you've got for us tonight, so looking forward to getting in about it.
Lovely. Bowdy's also here, the B-Man, B-Meister General, Beington Steel, Bowdasaurus Rex. Sorry, I'll stop.
The B-team.
The B-team.
Filling in.
We're back in.
I'll fill a few things in, mate, don't you worry about
How are you, Bowd? What's happening?
I'm good. Celtic... I'd like to say we're doing well. We're getting results. That's what we're doing.
And that's this is the thing, we've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks, right? So see if Celtic win, see the actual experience of watching the game, right? It's stressful and you question everything, and we'll talk about some of the players and some of the performances, and there's a lot of stuff said about the fact that we're not necessarily performing how you'd want to be, but just fucking win, Barry. And I guess we're kind of in the trenches with that. It's results that matter.
Yeah, I think, as you say, we've been making the point for the last couple of months anyway that the short-termism of those in power at the club have got us to this place, but we have to kind of adapt that as supporters, because we know so many things are wrong. We know that half our squad, probably more than half our squad, as we might come on to later, won't be here next season, but we just have to, by hook or by crook, get the results on the board, and by and large we're doing that. You can look into it deeper and say, is that sustainable? Probably not, but until we can find a bit of form, and I think with the results we've had since we last recorded, that should build confidence, and you would just hope that we can put some sort of run together. But if we can't, we just need to win.
It really is a rollercoaster about day, because you're watching the game and you're being pulled in all these directions, but as soon as the final whistle goes, if Celtic have got the points, you park that emotion and you just move on to the next one.
Yeah, that's ultimately what it's all about. But as we've talked about it all season, as we've been, earlier in the season, we were getting results, we weren't putting in the performances. It's not sustainable, and we're getting to...
People keep saying it's not sustainable. It looks pretty sustainable to me. For fuck's sake.
We're sustaining it in second place, though, so that's not good enough.
That's true.
It was third place last week, so we just keep moving
we keep on up the rankings.
Keep on trucking.
Up the rankings, indeed.
Break a few hearts.
Well.
Very personal joke there. But I guess the point is, people keep saying, see the Hibs game. See, I'm looking back at the Hibs game and I'm like, actually, we probably played better in the Hibs game than we maybe played yesterday. Yeah. And so it's everything's kind of on its head. So when people say it's unsustainable, I don't necessarily disagree, but people have been saying that since Martin O'Neill came back. And again, I don't necessarily disagree, but might this just be an anomaly where we just kind of get over the line, Bowdy? Like, might the stars align?
It could happen. And I suppose... what's making that possible is, as we've talked about, and I think it was talked about in the reaction with Sermani last night, I suppose.
It was last night,
yeah. Whilst Celtic aren't as good this season as they have been in previous seasons, Hearts and Rangers haven't really got up to that level. Obviously, Hearts are consistently better than any of the non-Glasgow teams, since they're still in that race, but neither of those are at the level that Celtic have been at over the last decade.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a stat yesterday that basically said that Celtic have got the same points this season that Hearts had this time last season, and Hearts where did they finish in the Premiership last season? Let's just quickly check.
Bottom half.
The bottom half, yeah, they didn't make the top six. So, it's kind of, Barry, as we say, let me just see. Hearts finished league table 7th.
Yeah.
So, it's just quite odd overall.
Yeah, definitely. And it's crazy when you looking at the table earlier, and the fact that we've had those 7 7 defeats, which is more than we've had in a long time. Even the COVID year, I think we lost 5 in total. The amount of goals we've conceded, I think we've conceded more goals than we've played games.
Yeah.
Which is unheard of, yeah. But, yeah, it's funny because if you look at results, obviously, psychologically, getting the point on Sunday was huge, but you could argue even if we hadn't won, we probably still weren't really out of it because of the way that twists and turns can happen. So it is a really strange season. I think Hearts have obviously been really consistent, but they've been consistent, but they haven't been able to pull really that far away from us, touch wood. So yeah, it's one of those ones that I think from a supporter's point of view, if we get over the line, it could be one of the sweetest in recent times, in recent memory, because of all the turmoil that we've been through. But I don't think anyone's under any illusions that it's going to be like a vintage Celtic Championship win if we do it.
See, whenever I hear the sweetest, when someone says the sweetest thing, I always think of coming out of the stadium when we beat Rangers 5-1.
Oh,
the sweetest thing, just like boner or whatever you call them. Just a bit of fun. I know it's boner. Just being disrespectful. You've had a cough for a long time. Are you okay?
No.
Hands over here.
Well, exactly. Could you go to the doctors?
It's not really my business going to the doctors.
Paul Tisdale. You're fine, son, on you go.
Dop's dead a week later. No, you could end up like Mr. Burns and have like every disease in the world, and just the fact it's perfect. Like,
yeah, that's probably it, which is fine.
Combination.
So I've never been accused of being overly masculine, but when it comes to visiting the doctor when you're sick, that's where I'm a real man.
I'd encourage everyone to go to the doctors when they
men self, just don't bother.
But I would encourage everyone, about having a bit of fun. I'd encourage everyone to go to the. I would make you less.
Bottle it all down.
Well, it's just a laugh. It just the Cynic says go to the doctors. The Cynic says it's Charlie, wasn't
Dr.
it?
Football.
Right, opening question. We're going to talk about the Rangers game at the weekend briefly because we have covered that this week on the Cynic. If you want to get more podcasts, if you want to get more Celtic content, sign up for the Cynic. If you go to thecynic.co, you can sign up for a monthly subscription, a yearly subscription. You can cancel at any time if you sign up and it's not for you.
Have you got any of those lifetime memberships like David Lowe's thing?
£25,000 and it's
podcasts until the day you croak it.
That's it. Aye, we'll get there. But yeah. We've got an app, we've got an RSS feed, we've got a website, we've got articles going up, thecynic.co. If you also search for The Cynic on Patreon, you can get us there. Opening question. What can be done to solve the striker situation at Celtic? There's obviously not going to be a definitive answer, but I just want to get your thoughts and feelings about it. You first, Barry. Let's go. Like, what can be done to solve the striker situation at Celtic?
It's a really difficult one because I think reading some of the stats today, like our top scorer for this season in terms of a striker is Johnny Kenny, who's obviously not here just now because he'll be out on loan. Dyson is next in line, who hasn't really played much as a striker this season, and then Iniacho is next in line, so it's a really bleak picture. But having said all that, and he really frustrated me last night, Dyson, when he went through the middle of that one where he kind of screwed wide with his left foot, and then the thing like at the goal, at Nygren's goal, like what is Dyson doing? He's like a mile offside as well. I don't know what he was hoping to achieve.
Crazy.
But I think he creates chaos, and I think you saw that in the second half on Sunday. You saw it again last night. And while I don't think that solves the striker issue necessarily, it frees up space for the likes of Nygren to run into. So I think that might be our best option. We were talking just before we came on air there about Chivanchira, and I think we all like the idea of him, we like the look of him, but last night he was really anonymous. He didn't get on Sundays, which I think tells its own story. And I keep thinking to that chance they had at the Hibs game at Celtic Park where the shot, he just kind of, there was no power on it, it was going well wide.
It's terrible.
So I think he does kind of ruffle feathers, and at the time, even though, as I said, I was happy with the kind of chaos that Dyson was causing in the second half at Ibrox, I couldn't help but think that the two headers, the one that led to the penalty and the other one, that if Chivanchira had been there, he might have scored them. So I personally would go with Dyson and have Cynic and Yang probably either side of him, or kind of variations of that off the bench. But it just kind of it baffles me that we all knew even before Nancy was sacked that we needed a striker ready to go on the 1st of January to play in the derby game. We brought in 2 lone players. I haven't seen enough of Adamu, but from what I have seen, I don't hold out much hope there. So personally, I think in terms of a profile, I think Ian Atchell would have been that, but I just don't think O'Neill can trust him, his fitness, and I can't really remember, did he use him much first time around?
Nah, not really.
No.
I think he was injured the first time around.
Yeah. But then you could argue probably his best performance for us was in the cup final until he went off, because I thought he was our best player that day.
Agreed, yeah.
And I think we said before, Gall, in like one of the chats, for me, he seems like the type of player O'Neill would have loved first time around, like back in the early 2000s. That kind of striker who needs polished up a wee bit and feed his ego and get him going. So there's something strange there. But I think we just need to go with Dyson because of the chaos and also the space it creates for the likes of Nygren to run onto and kind of get our goals that way. But it's not ideal at all.
We talked a couple of weeks ago about, I think you mentioned it, Barry, about going 4-4-2. Now we're not going to do it. Celtic are going to finish like I'm sure everyone's having chats with their pals and all that and their family about how we can get the best out of these players, and people will put 3-5-2, go back to 3-5-2, 3 at the back, better midfield and all that stuff. He's just not going to change it. It's going to be 4-3-3 to the end of the season. But what does that say? Does it feel like all these players maybe need a partner to play off? That's how it feels to me. What's your thoughts?
That could be true. They're definitely struggling.
Is that right?
Aye, they're definitely struggling.
Good insight.
Just to be contrarian a little bit, and I'm just going to preface it with I don't believe any of the words that I'm saying. It's nonsense. They're all garbage.
Shin Yamada would have been Kenny Dalglish.
In defence of Adamu and Chinchara.
Chinchara, I've never heard that. That's a new one.
That's the actual pronunciation. But
Chinchara.
He's just not wanted to be rude and correct people. Big Tam. I don't think either have really. We've obviously not seen very much of them, but they've just not got any level of service when they've been playing. So if you wanted to defend them and say they're not actually that bad, that might be how you do it. However, they're just not good enough. And Barry's probably right. The problem with Maeda is he looks like he's genuinely, intentionally missing chances because he doesn't want to be here anymore.
And you're as big as genuinely Chris Boud is a Maeda stand to all of Maeda stands, but like that when he was through yesterday and he dragged his shot wide. It's not even that he dragged his shot wide because we've seen him do that in the past, right? It was just a sort of
Yep.
And maybe deep down he was really frustrated, whatever. But just I don't know. Like it just seemed like a sort of. See, whenever if you've played football at any level, even if it's like 5-a-sides and like you have you're through and through it and you have a shot and it doesn't go in, you kind of go, another chance will come. I wanted to punch the fucking telly yesterday when he did that.
See, the thing that was even more frustrating that came just after that was when
fell on his arse.
Sir actually played the ball through, he slipped, and then we got the ball back and he's just meandering back. Like, get fucking back on side.
Up.
It was a bit like the What My Like. Remember the old Effie Ambrose memes? It's a bit like the Dice one. What my like, if you're rolling about the grass.
Just looking at some kind of stats, right? And just in terms of goals to games, nothing deeper than that. But Adamu, right? 3 games, 1 goal.
What a goal, though.
To be fair.
Assist.
Shvanshra, 9 games, 1 goal. So this isn't just a league, this is all competition. Iheanacho, 14 games, 3 goals. Osmond. So these are for Adamu, Shvanshra and Iheanacho, that's for this season. This is Osmond's career. He has played 3 games, 1 goal. And it was in a semi-final against Rangers. Big game. Daisen Maeda, 42 games, 9 goals. Again, as we say, it's all competitions. Johnny Kenny, 22 games, 6 goals. Shin Yamada, 12 games, no goals. I just kind of did a bit of calculation. Our strikers, all those players, goals to games, 21 goals in 93 games. Basically, they've scored in 22% of the games they've played. It's a really, really low hit rate. So I went back and I looked at some of the other kind of low hit rates that we've had. So again, all competitions, this isn't just the league. What's the worst one? There's a really good one. Right, see 2010, 2011, Gary Hooper, Anthony Stokes, Georges Samaras. Hooper 22, Stokes 20, Samaras 10.
Lovely.
Right. The season that shall not be named. Edward 22, Ayeti 9, Klamala 6.
You cannot take Klamala about now.
But see, like, I'm looking at all these, right? So, like, 2006, 2007, which was the lowest our strikers had scored, right, in terms of the league. But you still had Vinegar Hesselink with 18, Zurawski with 10, Kenny Miller with 8, and Beattie with 3. It's just you had two guys. You had two guys doing something. In 14-15, Griffiths 20, Guidetti 15, Stokes 8, Skepovic 6. 2009-10, McDonald 19, Samaras 12. It just feels like we do not have Barry. Like, you want someone you can hang your hat on in terms of a striker. This is how legends are made at Celtic, and it just doesn't feel like any of these guys have that in them, with the exception of Osmond, who's played 3 games in his career and looks quite handy.
Yeah, and I think we all knew, like, the amount of chances we've missed all season, from the qualifiers to league games. We thought to ourselves, surely to God, we will get a striker in January, and we haven't, and the loan players don't look anywhere up to it, and I know we'll come on to talk about them slightly later, but where would we be without Nygren? Like, those goals are exceptional. And yeah, he just seems to be in the right place at the right time. But I know what you mean. That's not to take away from him, because obviously it's brilliant to have a goal scoring midfielder, but all your heroes growing up are strikers.
Larson, Cadet.
Yeah, who get 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s.
Mark Viduka,
yeah.
you know.
And I just think, like, a team when the strikers firing all cylinders, it's just a boost, because you know that they're hungry for goals. Everyone's delighted for them, because they'll maybe have. You often hear them talk about personal targets, like, want to get 25 before the split or whatever. And I think John Hartson always said, like, any Celtic striker worth their salt should be getting at least 25 a season, and I tend to agree with that, with the amount of chances we create. So, while I mentioned earlier how poor our defensive record has been this season, I think a large part of that is because we can't finish teams off, and then the more teams are still in the game, like last night, I suppose, they grow in confidence, whereas if you have a striker that can get a couple of goals either side of the half, it kind of puts more games to bed. So it's a real problem area for us, and it feels quite unusual for us, because even as you said there's been some kind of seasons where it hasn't been great free-flowing, but you've still had strikers getting sort of higher teens, early 20s, and we're nowhere near that. Yeah,
exactly. Yesterday, Celtic... well, do you know what? We'll talk about Rangers game first, right? Celtic were 2-0 down at half-time. Celtic were out of it. Rangers had pressed the living shit out of Celtic, but Celtic completely capitulated, played through a couple of times. Oxlade-Chamberlain showed flashes of quality, but was kind of overawed by the experience. Defensively, Dane Murray makes a huge mistake in that first half, does recover well. What's your overall feeling about the Rangers? We'll get to the Aberdeen game, but the Rangers game, your thoughts and feelings on it?
It was wild. As you say, first half was genuinely one of the worst Celtic performances I've seen. Rangers 2 goals, I don't like to give them much, but they were alright. Decent. But as you say, they pressed us and we fell apart. We didn't know what to do. We were just afraid to take the ball. Oxlade-Chamberlain, as you said, there were moments of quality, but he was just kind of dilly-dallying on the ball.
He was caught the ball a couple of times.
He had more time. And again, that's going to be helped if the rest of the team are performing, but there's an element that he's got to take some responsibility and just realise that he's not going to have hundreds of space and hundreds of time in Scotland in general, but definitely these big games in the derbies. But God bless St Martin. He makes the right changes at the right time, and Rio Hatate rises through the dead. And sorry, Barry.
That's all right. Okay, I forgive you.
Yeah, well, I mean, we are in the period for that, of course. But Rio Hatate, call for Rio Hatate, and he came on and he changed the game, Barry. That, like, I think as I say, we've covered this extensively on the Cynic. So we did a reaction to the Rangers game afterwards, which went on for about an hour and a half, and we talked about it on the agenda and stuff. But Hatate changed the game. Also, Sinisalo. Give me your thoughts on those two players specifically.
Yeah, I think almost straight away, Rio's first couple of touches, he was just putting his foot on the ball and he wasn't rushing things. I think the big difference for me was, I thought in the first half we were trying to do everything 100 miles an hour and it wasn't coming off. And I think McGregor made a good point, which has kind of encouraged me going into Sunday coming. They said, like, the game plan was really to kind of go out there and impose our dominance on Rangers. But he said it actually went the other way because we were trying to play too much football. And I think that came from their first goal when he was in the corner, McGregor himself. And he said sometimes that can go against you. But I think we were trying to go too long in the first half. And then Rio comes on, tries to pick passes. I thought his pass that went to McGregor to Nygren for Tierney's goal was exceptional because most people, I think Rangers defenders were expecting a cross there. So yeah, it was great to see. As Boud says, he was back to his old self, and I thought he was really good last night as well. Sinisalo, conversely, I thought his distribution was pretty good on Sunday. Last night, not so much, but I think he's growing in confidence. I think the shirt is definitely his now.
You think?
Yeah, I'd say so.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think that save last night, I've done them, they were really good. But in terms of Sunday as well, I think all the subs had an impact. The cross from Jamesy was great, and for all the kind of praise that Rangers got for their first half, I think our performance was in the second half was better than theirs was in the first half. And I think if we'd maybe had another 10-15 minutes, we would have gone on to have won the game as well. So hopefully, as I said, McGregor's comments were really encouraging. Hopefully that's kind of the message starting the game on Sunday, because we can't have another half like that as well. So you come out of that feeling really good. It almost felt like a win in a way. But yeah, I think if Celtic play football, I think McCowan was right with the comment. I know there was a lot of comments on McCowan's comments, but I think if we come out and play football, then they couldn't handle that. They wanted to turn it into a battle, which doesn't suit us, but we're the better footballing team. So I think if we can kind of do that earlier on Sunday, then we'll have a great chance.
Do you know what Hatate's performance in that second half reminded me of? And I was thinking about this today, and I'm not comparing them as players at all, because it's you can't compare them. But see McStay, the 95-96 season, where he would receive the ball deep and he'd look for a pass and he'd make things happen. And I think Celtic need that playmaker. Callum McGregor's putting fires out all over the place, and that's just his job, and that's the nature of what he does. But we need someone to be that playmaker in the midfield. Willie Haughey's got a lot of criticism this season, and rightly so. But when he's on form, he's one of the best players in the country.
He's untouchable. It's just unfortunate that for the vast majority of this season, he hasn't. He's
been touchable. He's been very touchable. Have been touching him.
There's been a lot of inappropriate, if you ask me, but there's been a lot of.
I was hoping he would expand on that, but
he was fantastic. And as Barry said again last night, he was great as well. But Barry also mentioned James Forrest, which I think he's been huge the last two games, because again, I was going to say 3 seasons, probably longer than that. A lot of fans have been saying James Forrest shouldn't be here. He's past it. He's over the hill. And I think, to be honest, this season I've always disagreed with that, but this season I was like, do we really need James Forrest? Comes on against Rangers and wins a penalty, gets an assist against Aberdeen. When you need him, he's there.
When did they come on and get a penalty?
He puts the cross in for the penalty.
Sorry, yeah, okay, fair enough. The way you said that, I just had what are you fucking talking about?
Should have been clear on
the
that.
Cross was,
the cross was exceptional.
Cross was exceptional, and it was so pinpoint accurate. All the pish about whether it should have been a penalty or not, like personally, what I do is I just kind of take a step back from that, and I don't really care. I think it's funny when people go online and like start arguing with Rangers fans and all that. Like, good for them. Like, fighting the good fight and all that. But you saw it from one angle, and I was a bit, oh God, I don't know. And then you saw it from the angle above, you're like, oh my God, that's in today's modern rules, that's a penalty.
I don't think that's even modern rules. That penalty.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
That one, and again, you're right. When you first see it, I didn't see a penalty. I was like, what's going on? But yeah, when you see the replay, his hand moves, blocks the ball, and passes it on to the keeper. It stops the goal happening
because it was.
It's not just that. Oh, his hand's naturally there. He's moving his hand in a. Aye, it's a penalty all day long.
Yeah, because if it doesn't.
Sorry, no. On you.
I was going to say, as Boud says, if the way it hits the arm goes up and it hits Butland in the face, doesn't it? But the way that Butland was spread, I think it would have gone sort of under his body, and it would have been a goal. So yeah, there's no arguing for me that it was a penalty.
Yeah, Boud, you were going to say something?
Just on the penalty shout from the Aberdeen game, that didn't happen. I think that one is one that shouldn't be a penalty at all, but the rules of the game.
The crossfit and exit.
Aye, and the hand comes up.
Oh yeah.
So I think rules of the game, that's a penalty, as in what we've seen all season and all last season, but just shouldn't really be a penalty because, come on, get real. However, the Rangers penalty is a penalty all day long.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of kind of changes coming over the next couple of years. They're talking about, obviously, they're doing this offside, it's daylight, back to the daylight thing, but it's going to be, favouring the attacker. But they're still going to have, Barry, like the lines drawn. Yeah. So it's like instead of being one behind, it's going to be one forward. So it doesn't change anything.
No, it doesn't. And I think the other rule they're going to bring in as well is they're going to check corners to see if they actually are corners with VAR as well. But just on the lines thing, I know we're kind of jumping ahead, but I loved that Peter Leven was saying, why is there not two lines, when it's been clear for ages that if there's one line, it's because they're both touching.
You remember the Motherwell one from a couple of years ago when it was like a fucking drone and from Ukraine took a picture of the fucking
picture was taken from Ravenscraig.
Yeah, that was it. Fucking right. The game yesterday, Celtic, Kieran Tierney with a really good goal from a set piece.
Scales did fantastically well.
Scales did really, really well for it. He makes an ass of it later on, but we'll talk about that. And then that man Nygren just can't stop scoring. He has scored, was it 19 goals this season? It's pretty incredible. The performance wasn't sparkling. I think there was probably better passages of play overall than you maybe remember. But Barry, what was your take on the game?
I thought we started really well, and up into the goal, I thought, right, this is enjoyable. This is what we've been crying out for. A goal relatively early in the game, and I was watching it with a couple of pals last night, and I was like, this is good. And just as I said that, Rio passed the ball straight out of the park.
Yeah,
and I was like, God, I hope I've not cursed it. And then we kind of lost our way a wee bit. And yeah, I think if you were to watch it back, it probably wouldn't be as nervy, but I think when you're living that game and you know what's at stake, and the longer it goes without the second goal coming, you worry. But I think there was real positives last night. I thought Sinisalo, that save was great.
Excellent.
I thought Hatate, as I've mentioned, was good. McGregor looked back to his best. I thought Arthur did really well for being thrown in with not much preparation. We were talking earlier, Gall, I think his running style, and it was funny because I remember Van Dijk's debut. I'm sure he came on as a sub at Pittodrie, but there was a lot of similarities there. And it's not to say that Arthur is Van Dijk, but
that's what I heard.
Yes, he's a new one. I thought he looked really good. Apart from there was maybe that one when he kind of brought it down with his studs and the ball got away from him. But yeah, it's given us another option there. I thought the subs worked well. As Boud said, Forrest came on, did well. I thought Sriracha came on, did well. I thought it was a shame for Tierney. I hope that the rumours aren't true that he's kind of got a broken bone in his foot, because I thought he was exceptional last night, and on the back of his performance in the second half at Ibrox, he looked back to his best. So fingers crossed that.
Do you think it was a red card?
Yeah, I think when you see it at the time I wasn't sure, but when you kind of saw the slowed down footage, we've seen red cards for less than that this season.
I mean, the rumour is that, yeah, as you mentioned, he's kind of broken a bone in his foot, which would be absolutely devastating. Boud, what did you make of the game overall?
Yeah, I agree with what we've said so far. The performance, there was definitely elements of it where it looked good, but we you're hoping after that second half against Rangers that we're going to blow Aberdeen away. Didn't quite come to fruition, but a lot of positives. As you say, I think Sinisalo continues. Not perfect, but great save. I don't think any of the goals he's conceded he's particularly at fault for. I think distribution, I think there's been a few shaky moments, but I'm still more confident in his distribution than I am in Casper's. I think Arthur was excellent. Couldn't have asked for more, as you say, especially considering he's just getting thrown in.
I thought he made two bad touches, one bad touch and one bad pass, and for a guy who essentially is making his
one sub appearance.
Yeah, well, like
even with what he's played down south as well.
Exactly that. Yeah. I mean, I'm very comfortable. We get man of the match in Sky. We should mention that Dane Murray is pulled up. He was going to start. Here's a quote from Martin O'Neill on Dane Murray. Let me just get it for you. Martin O'Neill said, Dane felt his thigh. I'd have to think that he would be a doubt for the Rangers game. He's come in, being treated, and we'll see tomorrow. I'm hoping it's not doom and gloom, but I'm concerned about it. He then went on to say about Benjamin Arthur, I thought he did fine. Half an hour beforehand, he might have been wondering if he was going to get on. Then he comes into the game. I thought he did really fine. Martin O'Neill, I love how he praises players that it's like he puts a rocket up people's arse by being like, you were fine. Everyone's giving him like effusive with their praise. I think that's really good management. Dane Murray, the best ability is availability. I know that's a cliche and it's lame and all that, but this would have been his third game in a row. I don't think he's played 3 games in a row for Celtic. Yeah. It's just again, what can you do if he always gets injured? Essentially, it's unfair, but
it's harsh as well because again, I think he's been in for a lot of criticism and there's been a lot of, he's made mistakes, but personally I'm of the opinion he's a young centre-back. He should be making mistakes. Our current first choice pair of centre-backs make mistakes all the time.
Yeah.
So I think it would have been really good to see Murray get that run of games, or Arthur, one of our centre-backs that, are young and aren't regularly playing. So, yeah, a definite shame for him. But Arthur comes in and
he probably has usurped them now.
Yeah.
Because he'll probably play. Well, we can talk about the Rangers game on Sunday, but he'll more than likely play against Motherwell. If that goes well, Trusty might come back in. Who knows? Again, there's those conversations. But I'm just thinking there about with the Motherwell game being a huge game that we'll kind of come to. Trusty's obviously not going to be available because he's suspended. Dane Murray might not be available still at that point. You're actually then looking at Tierney. If Tierney's not available, he's one that you could be like, he can play centre back. Worst comes to worst. But if he's available, if he's not available, you're struggling for centre backs, Barry. All of a sudden.
Yeah, and I think that's maybe one thing that we haven't covered too much this season, or certainly the mainstream media haven't covered, is the amount of injuries that we've had. But then it comes back to recruitment. You've got to plan for injuries, and you've got to have a strong enough squad. But again, not to jump too far ahead to Sunday, but it's kind of caught in two minds. Do you continue to play Arthur, knowing that he more than likely will play for the Motherwell game, or do you treat Sunday as a one-off game and bring Trusty back in because by hook or by crook you just want to be in the next round?
Well, I think that's the ultimate question. In fact, you know what? We'll take that just now because we're talking about centre halves, because I want to talk about Scales in a minute as well. But Barry, we'll come to you in a minute, right? You've laid the question down. Bowd, the Motherwell game is the most important of the two, you could argue, but the Rangers game, you want to knock them out of the cup. You knock them out of the cup, then you've got I don't think anyone has a clue. I like that Martin O'Neill said yesterday we can't take anyone lightly. Yeah. It's like we're just not good enough to take anyone lightly. But you're into the next round at least.
Yep.
What do you do? Do you play Trusty or do you play Arthur on Sunday?
So my first instinct was you just give Arthur the game because you need him for Motherwell. He needs minutes in the legs, all that. However, I am very confident that if we did start Arthur, he would get injured. So Trusty's probably the safest choice.
Sure. My take on it, I've been thinking about it because...
Sorry, just...
Okay, go on.
Arthur Trusty. Maybe that's a combo.
Oh,
Never even thought of that.
yeah. And then you keep Scales and
Protect Scales. We've got to wrap him in cotton wool. We don't want player of the season Liam Scales getting injured.
That's interesting, eh?
Yeah, could do that, yeah.
If you had to choose between Trusty and Arthur, the guy's played one game of football, really, in his career, and I think I'm worried that, like Oxlade-Chamberlain, the Trusty knows exactly what he's coming into, right? So I think Arthur will be quite suited to Motherwell's sort of technical, slowed down, methodical way of playing football, maybe better, just at this stage, than the chaos.
I was just going to make a point there, and I don't know, you may be able to check it for us, Gall, but I'm pretty sure Trusty hasn't played at Ibrox because remember Rodgers didn't really fancy him. He might have.
Didn't he get pulled at half time when we
in
lost?
the cup final? That was.
Final, yes.
I might be wrong there, but I think he might not have played at Ibrox because obviously he was suspended there, unless he played at the start of this season. But I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have.
Maybe not. Let me have a think. But you tell me what you'd do.
I think if I was thinking logically, I probably would go with Arthur, but I think O'Neill might see that it's almost a bonus to get Trusty back for this game, and I think O'Neill likes Trusty. I think he brought him back in for the game, he brought him back in for the semi-final when he was out in the wilderness under Rodgers, and he was really good that game. He was pinging those diagonal balls out to Tanetke and stuff like that. And obviously he's had the performance in Bologna, etc. So I think O'Neill, more often than not, goes with the tried and
tested,
tried and trusted. So I think he'll come back in. Yeah,
I'm just looking at the 0-0 game at the start of the season, which was horrendous. It was Carter, Vickers and Scales.
And then last season, I'm pretty sure it was Carter, Vickers and Scales, both games as well.
Yeah, I think that probably makes sense. So yeah, but he has played, as you say, those. So
it's a cool, Barry.
Yeah, I would probably say, I'd probably go Scales and Trusty. I don't want to. I want to go Arthur, but I just think if he's played one full game in his career, to throw him into that, and it is chaos, it's fast, and it's, and all that.
An extra experience is going to help, but is that one game going to make a huge difference to him going into? In fact, is it possibly going to dent his confidence?
Well, that's it. You don't want it. No Oxlade-Chamberlain yesterday. Didn't come off the bench. That surprised you about?
To a degree. I mean, after his performance against Rangers, it's not a huge surprise. I think that McCown came in, but yeah, I mean, I think what we've seen from Oxlade is that he's got something. There's some passes he's pulling off that are just absolutely ridiculous, and you would hope that again, just as he gets a bit of steam behind him and he's getting more games and he's getting more match fit, that we'll see some more from him, and he might be able to change a few games. But I suppose you're coming off that game that it wasn't just an improvement in the second half against Rangers; it was night and day. It was utterly terrible to incredible. Some of the best football we've seen.
I just checked, he never played last season at Ibrox either, so
great goal. In terms of Oxlade-Chamberlain, if you look at, obviously, do you think Martin O'Neill will have it in his head how kind of overawed Oxlade-Chamberlain was? Not overawed, but just couldn't get up to speed with the speed of the game. Because there was two moments. There was a moment where Sinisalo put the ball to him and he dropped his shoulder twice and he beat three players and put it out to Maeda, and that's when Maeda does that big stupid fucking cross to nobody. And then there was another chance where he did really well to get on the edge of the area, ball comes to him and he just takes a bit too long. But do you think that'll affect Martin O'Neill's at least starting lineup in terms of Oxlade-Chamberlain, because he's been very, again, effusive in his praise for him for Sunday?
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if he starts. And again, there were, as you say, encouraging touches he had. I thought his corners were absolutely dreadful. They did it 3 in a row that he did the same thing every time. And I think he's the kind of guy that might be good to bring on 25 minutes to go if you want to see out the game, or hopefully the game's already done and you just want someone to get on the ball. So I think better players than him have had worse derbies against
Absolutely,
Rangers.
yep.
And I think all the kind of pundits on both sides recognise that you could be the best player in the world and this game's like no other. So that probably comes into what you were saying about the fact that we've got that as a sort of case study to maybe not play Arthur as well because of how overawing it can be for players. But I don't think it's kind of any slight on Oxlade-Chamberlain. I still think he'll have his part to play as the season goes on because of his experience. So yeah, I think that it'll be an interesting one in the midfield on Sunday because the way things have played out, but I'd be very surprised if it's not McGregor, Hatate and one other. I think it will be Nygren because I think he even the first half I thought the game passed him by and he couldn't get onto the ball, but I thought the second half we made more of the ball. The way he was protecting the ball and his decision making, which I think is maybe one of the weakest parts of his game. I thought his decision making in the second half was exceptional.
He wanted to get on the ball in the second half, which
Yeah.
I don't think anyone did in the first, and he was started to drive in that final third.
I think you're starting to see a wee bit of a different side to him because I think we all thought at the start he was a wee bit arrogant, for want of a better word, but I think he's channeling that better now because he knows he's the main man and you can see that and he's wanting responsibility. Even like the way he celebrated last night, it kind of was a wee bit more mature than it has been. So yeah, I'm really enthused with him, but I just wish there was a way that we could kind of get someone else in the midfield to help out the others and maybe have him. I think someone mentioned on Kieran on the agenda said about kind of putting him as a false nine or something, so maybe that's the way to solve the striker situation, but he just needs to be on the park because the way he picks up space is I can't really remember too many outfielders that we've had like that.
I mean, you're looking at Rogic, really. I mean,
but with a much greater output.
Exactly, yeah. 19 goals, incredible. Just looking at the league table, I mean, the other kind of point from the Arthur's debut, he got man of the match. Sinisalo, excellent save. Kieran Tierney was outstanding. And Martin O'Neill says it was a tough evening, which I expected anyway, and we certainly got that. And it was nice to come through and win the game. We scored early on in the proceedings. I felt as though we should have just asserted a bit more superiority. We allowed Aberdeen into the game. They get a penalty, and then you're forced in the second half to try to conjure something, which we did. We could have scored a couple towards the end as well. It would have been nice if that was the case. It wasn't, though. We showed resilience to fight out. The penalty, Boud, was it a penalty? Liam Scales kicks the Aberdeen striker in the back of the leg.
Here
he goes. He's got a theory.
It's just, no, it's not. I'll tell, for a start, there's a lot of it's really light contact, it's really harsh. I don't think there's confirmation that there's contact yet. I seen two angles, one from in front, one from behind. There must have been a camera at the side of that pitch that could show us literally if he kicks him in the back of the calf. We didn't see the footage. Why is that? Ask questions. Who profits? Follow the money. That's what I'm saying. Sorry. So it's overly harsh. You can say, if there's any contact in the pit.
Come on, he kicks him in the back of the leg.
He kind of moves his foot towards him and he gets him.
It's a penalty. I would have been screaming for it.
Aye, fucking right.
Just on that, I heard on the radio when I was coming over, they had 13 cameras last night. And Gordon Duncan on Clyde was saying that normally they would have 6 at games that aren't televised. So the fact that people were complaining about the camera angles last night, that's as good as it gets, essentially.
Aye. We need to draw lines. Is that right? Aye. I think he's a fuck.
I like when folks stand up at the TV with a ruler and stuff like that, and a sheet of paper. If that's what you're up to, go outside and touch some grass.
Touch some grass, man. Yeah. In terms of where it leaves us in the league, so Celtic, Hearts are top, 29 games played, 63 points. Celtic are second, 29 games played, 58 points, so 5 points behind. Rangers are third, we're a point ahead of Rangers. At Motherwell are
4 points behind the Rangers with a game in hand.
4 points behind Rangers by game in hand. It would mean that if they won their game in hand, they'd be 2 points behind us going into that game at Celtic Park. It's kind of all. It's like every game is just terrifyingly close.
Yeah, I think it'll be real interesting. I think that'll be one of the most eagerly anticipated for every supporter, their game on Saturday, watching that score come in. And you wouldn't bet against them going out there and kind of running over the top of them like they did to St Mirren a couple of weeks ago, Motherwell. So, yeah, part of me wants them to keep it up there, like
I would be delighted if Rangers ended up in 4th and Celtic won the league and Motherwell were
second.
Second. Can he mathematically? Just one. Can they get second?
If Hearts lose every game and Motherwell win every game and Celtic win every game, well, Celtic can win every game and Motherwell win every game. But
that sounds good to me.
Just looking at the games that we've got coming up. So Celtic, the next league game. So these are league games. We've got Motherwell, Rangers. Rangers have got St Mirren away, and Hearts have got Kilmarnock away. And then the week after that, we've got Dundee United away. Ooh, that worries me. Hearts have got Dundee at home. Rangers have got Aberdeen at home. Motherwell have got Hibs at home. So we're the only team away. The third game is Celtic are away to Dundee. Hearts are away to Livingston. Rangers have got Dundee United at home, and Motherwell have got Falkirk at home. And the final game before the split, Celtic are at home to St Mirren. Hearts are at home to Motherwell, which is obviously a fucking huge game, and Rangers are away to Falkirk. So Celtic, we've got 2 home games, 2 away games. Motherwell at home, which is just box office in terms of how the league's been this season. Dundee United and Dundee away 2 weeks in a row, and then St Mirren at home. It's all to play for, Bouds. It's exciting. It just feels like I would like it if it was. It feels like we've been dragged down as opposed to everyone coming up.
Yeah, 100%. And that's no obviously, I think Motherwell are doing fantastically well.
I think they're the exception because they've been really, really good.
Yep. And Hearts, again, I'm not going to give Hearts credit, but they have, they've not fell away like Aberdeen have in previous years.
I'm not going to give them credit and then fucking gives them credit.
They're the best team in the league and they deserve... No, Jesus Christ.
Derek McInnes. What a fucking talk. See when he was hit that midfielder the other day?
I know, what was he thinking?
It's a fucking...
Clown.
And that's after they've won.
I know.
Permanently raging.
Permanently raging. He will be the next Rangers manager though, which I'm delighted to say.
He's not that great.
Exactly. That's why he's good.
Yeah.
And then Captain Baldo will head off. Is he bald?
Yeah, let's just say yes.
Aye. And not good bald like us.
No. Bad bald.
Just accept
bald.
it. Don't hide it.
The B team.
Double B.
In terms of the last week during the Stuttgart game, Willie Haughey came out launching the Celtic Season Ticket Alliance scheme. Quite odd how it was announced on... Well,
during the game?
Yeah, during the game. It was on Go Radio. He obviously owns Go Radio. So I'll just read that. I'm not going to go into it. We talked about this in the agenda. I'll go into... I'll just give you the kind of headlines. What I'm offering is for every 10,000 fans that join us, I'll put £2 million in to buy shares for this trust. If we take all the shares of the people who join through the trust, if everyone joins, that's 10 million. They will be gifted to the trust. It won't be owned by me. I think we have to get something that all the fans can get behind. Let's get harmony. Let's get the Green Brigade back in the stadium. Let's get everyone singing from the same hymn sheet. So 54,000 season ticket holders, if they put their name into the alliance, which is free of charge, the total investment would be £10 million. These shares would be gifted to the trust instead of being owned by Willie Haughey himself. The scheme is open to all season ticket holders regardless of location, with each individual having equal rights within the alliance. Based on current valuations, a £10 million investment would represent around 5.26% shareholdings in Celtic. While this does not grant control, it is intended to provide a seat at the table for organised fan dialogue. And it should be able to give the option to call EGMs and to try and get, accountability. It's been covered quite a lot. As I say, we covered the agenda. I just want to get your thoughts on it, and then I want a pro and a con from each of you. Barry?
I think it's certainly interesting. I think anything that tries to chip away at the status quo of what we have, because we know it's not working and it hasn't been working for a long period of time, I think that's positive. I think it's interesting. I'd like to know more about it.
Yeah.
And I believe he said there would be more information coming soon. He mentioned a legend's going to sort of champion it or run with it or whatever. I think the pros are giving fans more of a voice, because sometimes it feels like we don't have one at all. The cons are, I know that Haughey's kind of cosy with some of the current board, and he mentioned that he kept saying how Dermot was it the phrase?
He was a winner,
a winner and all that, and yeah, and there was talk recently, wasn't there, that he's kind of fancying himself as the new chairman or whatever. So I don't believe people who get that rich are doing it out of the goodness of their heart. There must be something in it for him, so that would be the con for me. But the pro would be that it's some sort of change, and it could be the building blocks to forcing real change.
Great, well put. Bowd yourself. Your thoughts, pro or con?
Yeah, I am. Sorry, I don't want to get you sued, Gall. I think it does. It sounds he's got willing to throw £10 million of his own money in. Also, if you're gathering the shares of the season ticket holders, a bit like the Celtic Trust, they're trying to do, maybe that then gives you even more than 5%, and you can actually, have some change. It's a practical thing that might be able to help us start going in the right direction. The cons, whenever I listen to Willie Haughey, Willie Haughey,
Buddies, brother.
I say listen, I don't listen to Go Radio, but whenever I see clips of it, seems to me like he hates the poor. So that's just a
that's how it comes across.
Christopher Bowd opinion, but all of his policies seem to be, why don't we help the rich, and the trickle down will help all.
Trickle down economics, it's been proved to work.
It has consistently.
I think I that's my concern as well. Is there an ulterior motive? And again, we don't know this. Some of the stuff he said, I think we covered it whether it was on the agenda of the weekly, where he was talking about people in this country pay too much tax and we should pay less tax, and so there's a lot of stuff. I mean, from a political point, but my positive would be he's mentioned the Green Brigade. He's looking he's worked with the Celtic Collective. He looks like he's trying to go about it the right way. I would argue. I would,
but then again, if I'm going to be cynical,
love it.
If you have seen other concepts like this kind of fall down a little bit, and you're thinking, how can I get the fans on board with my takeover of the club? Those are easy things to say.
Aye, yeah.
The other sort of positive is that he is a genuine Celtic fan. Like, I don't doubt that at all. Like, I feel like he cares more about the club than anyone else that's kind of there just now. So
that's true.
But yeah, it's a kind of wait and see. And I suppose he answered this as well, but he was saying initially it would be season ticket holders, but then phase 2 would be Celtic supporters kind of across the world that don't have season tickets. So that was interesting as well, I thought.
There is no one, with the exception of like the fan-owned clubs, like your Motherwells or the Welsh Society, there is no one who owns a football club or who has the means to own a football club who essentially you're going to go, aye, good guy. So if the guy, Willie Haughey, is a genuine Celtic fan, which
Willie
Haughey Valance, kiss. But he might be the best of a bad bunch, is what I'm trying to say. I don't know. Like, I don't know him personally or anything. It'll be interesting to see how it comes. There's a lot of question marks and cynical kind of thoughts about it. We'll see what happens when we get more information about it, but I think it's important we talked about it. Barry got some interesting news on Alistair Johnson and young Callum Osmond. So Martin O'Neill mentioned comments. When I came in, we were thinking they would be around the end of March. So it's this particular month, but sometimes the updates vary a little bit. Both he and little Callum Osmond have had a couple of setbacks. I know. It's brilliant.
It makes me think of like Christmas Carol. Little Callum Osmond.
Little Callum Osmond.
His crutch.
Didn't he used to always say like little Juninho or someone? There was someone he used to.
In fact, Martin O'Neill's pretty tiny himself.
I know, that's it. Both he and little Callum Osmond have had a couple of little setbacks, just in terms of the recuperation. It's nothing major, nothing. But just like setbacks, they take you back another 10 days or so, something like that. So I'd be hoping that if we are still in contention, that Johnson would be there for maybe the split or something like that. So it feels like Alistair Johnson might actually be viable to get involved for the split, the start of the games. Maybe Osmond might get a couple of games to get him up to speed towards the end of the season. or at least be available. How important is it that we get either or both of them back?
I think it's massive. I think if we take Johnson kind of in isolation, first of all, I think his influence around the team would be great. I think that it was apparent to all of us the last couple of seasons that he could potentially be captain material, I think, which is...
Yeah.
I think he's fallen in love with the club. I think his performances... I know some people weren't maybe sold on him initially, but I think his desire, and I always think of those kind of underlapping runs he did last season to kind of let Kuhn go on the inside and back on the outside was exceptional. I think he's tough. I think you could potentially see a situation where he can move in one and be a right-sided centre-half, maybe where needed, if called upon. And it'll be interesting to see how we play it with Araujo when he comes back, if you try and fit them both in the team, or it gives you competition to see who can get the best out of each other. But I think just having him fit and available would give everyone such a boost, because you can see in terms of his personality, I think the squad love him. I think all the managers that have had him have loved him as well. So yeah, he'd be great to have back. And I think for Osman coming back, I know he's only played 3 games as you mentioned, but his performance in that semi-final against Rangers was infectious. I know he had the header as well that nearly scored, and that desire to get on the end of Tierney's cross for the goal. And it was just typical of this season that we replaced CCV with him in the squad, and then that very next game that's when he gets injured. But yeah, I think he could be a breath of fresh air, because his pace and his infectiousness to get in the box could be the difference in a couple of those games towards the end of the season. So yeah, getting those two back would be a real boost.
About yourself, AJ, Osmond?
100% agree with that. Osmond, so exciting. I think he looked outstanding. And again, we've not seen enough of him, but I've decided he is that striker.
He is that boy.
Yep.
He is that guy.
It's a low bar, but
and AJ, it's a kind of funny one, because Araujo's our best player. I don't think there's really any doubt about that right now, just in form consistently. I know he only came in start of January, but there was nothing done before that could put anyone head and shoulders above him. So it's a funny one when AJ comes back, but irrespective of whether they're fighting for minutes or whether you're shutting the team about, we've seen with Tierney, injuries can happen very easily. So
our right hand side is so shite that fuck it, stick Araujo on the right wing and put AJ right back. I mean, obviously they're not going to do that, but
I'm just coming up with a scenario in my head where AJ comes back and Araujo says, "I'm the pan now," like Rafael.
Oh well, great pool.
Here's a question, sorry to jump in, but who's got the higher ceiling, do you think, out of the two of them?
Well, I kind of made the comment that Araujo's been in England and it didn't really go particularly well. Obviously, he was at Barcelona as well. He probably is just looking for somewhere to go to build something, to get kind of build himself back up. AJ, he's going to be at the World Cup. Well, Araujo might be at the World Cup. I don't think he will be at the World Cup, but AJ definitely will be at the World Cup. And I think that he is someone that would really suit the English game.
Yeah. Remember he was linked with Inter at one point last season as well.
That's right, yeah. I think in terms of just where they are in their careers, obviously Alistair Johnson's coming back from that injury, so injury dependent as well. But I think there would be lots of suitors. If you turned around to me now and you said next season both your right backs, well, Araujo's going to go back to Bournemouth and your right backs are going to be Alistair Johnson and Donovan, I wouldn't be too disappointed with that. Like I would be, I like Donovan. I think there's a lot to work with there. If Alistair Johnson can play, 60% of the games, 70% of the games, and Donovan can play 30, 40, I'd be fine with that. If you had a version of that on the left-hand side, with Tierney being the guy and then someone young coming in.
Andy Robertson, for example.
There we go.
Oxlade Chamberlain said he might be making his way. Do you think so? I think he wants to move back to Glasgow, from what I'm led to believe, but...
Well, there you go. There's only 2 clubs that could sign him.
Do you know what I think? See the fact that came out on Celtic's official podcast, whatever. they could easily have taken that out. So that might be that there's nothing in it because they're happy for it to be out there, or it could be putting the feelers out, or the feelers are already been out there.
But would we not just face the same issue that Scotland faced, where you had two fantastic left backs, but you play a back four?
Yeah,
because the reasons the way Scotland got around that was to play a back three. It just depends. We have
got Sriracha as well. I'd like to see him made permanent, but again, he needs to stay fit.
See those passes he does. See those passes he does when he's breaking up the wing and he passes into the box. He passes inside.
Yeah.
He did it against Rangers. He did it yesterday. What a fucking boy!
He's a really good footballer for a. I know that's kind of a
So back.
Yeah, like sort of what's it by faint praise, however, but. He's got a really good technique, and I know there was one at Ibrox where I was cursing him because he played it right in the middle of the park. But it is it's weird the way he hits it. It's like with so much purpose. So I think you'd probably get him for 2 or 3 million. So I think if he was keen to stay, I would be happy to do that.
His children are at St Aloysius as well, so they did nicely.
Mm-hmm. They'll be members of the board 20 years time.
In terms of there was another link that came out today. So the link, which was, we're not going to have a time to do the squad contract thing. We might just leave that for next week because it's a good week kind of exercise, but we'll leave that for next week. But Celtic are apparently interested in Elijah Just and Miguel Chiwa. I got this wrong last time. Chaiwa at Hibs, who was excellent for Hibs versus Celtic last week. But was he excellent because Celtic's midfield isn't ideal, or I've not seen him a lot this season. But Celtic are preparing an overhaul in the first team. This is from Stephen McGowan. While the identity of this worries me slightly, while the identity of the next manager is yet to be established, Sean Maloney has begun work with the recruitment staff on identifying potential targets ahead of a reconstruction of the first team. That says to me that nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
And that Sean Maloney's basically just going to be the director of football.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But do we think the fact that we're going for a Elijah Just is
related to the manager?
Bertolascu? Yeah. I think he's looked an exceptional player.
Yeah.
Every time I've seen him, I've been really impressed. The way he carries the ball, I think he's really sort of incisive with his passing, and he carries the ball well as too. So, yeah, I'd be happy with that. And as you say, when those links were with Chaiwa towards the end of the window, I hadn't seen enough of him. But then when you saw him in the flesh at Celtic Park, he was bossing us about. So, yeah, but it'll be interesting. And I think that phrase, reconstruction of the squad, is probably an understatement.
He's 25 years old. He's a New Zealand international. 25 matches in the Scottish Premiership, 6 goals, 6 assists. He's got great stats. The concern I would have with these two players specifically is this Celtic, instead of looking around the wheel in terms of actually who do we need, is it just, those guys are right there and they've played well against us? Is this our standards dropping, or are they good enough to actually play for us?
No, I would.
Both, maybe.
Aye, I was going to say, it sounds more to me like Celtic choosing the wrong path but getting the right man, much in the same way we got Ange and we've got many other players and managers throughout our time. It's not because the process works. We just kind of stumble into it, and I think they both bring something to the team. And right now, I think the squad, as you said,
this
is
my concern. This is my concern, that right now anyone's going to improve.
Well, it's no that, and in the same way you can, as much as you don't think Adamu and Big Tam have done well enough, they're better than not having strikers. I don't think it's that.
Is it? Are you sure?
Well, maybe not.
We're going to be playing with Maeda for the rest of this.
Yeah.
They're pretty much
for eternity.
Yeah, that's one of Dante's levels.
I think we should be looking at those. We should always be looking at the best players in the Scottish League. Now, some years there might not be players good enough to improve our squad. This isn't one of those years.
I'm not saying.
And I'm not saying it's because we're that poor. We should just do whatever.
I just don't trust anything the club do.
No,
so
you're right to distrust the club.
Yeah,
promo video writes itself for just can't get enough Depeche Mode. Lovely.
Very good. As long as it's not Radiohead. In terms of so we'll come back to that. And as I say, that line While the identity of the next manager is yet to be established, Sean Maloney has begun work with the recruitment staff on identifying potential targets. So we're already identifying
for it, working on that before the window's opened. That's wild.
But it just says that nothing's going to change. Why should we trust this recruitment staff? And we'll get back again. Yeah. We'll get into
Sean
that.
Maloney, if he's going to be in that role, should be looking for recruitment staff rather than
Absolutely. And people will be like, well, you can't have it both ways. You can't moan because they're not doing stuff, and then you
we
moan.
Can and we will.
Aye, we can. They're bloody egg. Just finishing up, right? Barry, you're going to Ibrox on Sunday. Your thoughts, your expectations on it? Just what do we need to do from this game that's not going to affect take into the Motherwell game?
I kind of feel like we have to take it, not as a free hit, because it's never a free hit playing Rangers, but take it in isolation that this is a cup game, it's different. As we mentioned, the sort of weird circumstances that Trusty can come in for this. And I think you can almost just take this in isolation, take the positives from the previous Sunday, try and start the first half like you started the second half.
Yes.
The players who did play, who hadn't experienced it before, will be stronger for it because now it's not new to them. They've seen what they can do. And I think you need to sort of play on the fact that their supporters turned very quickly on them and it became toxic for their own players, I would say.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think the alternative was if it had continued the way it was in the first half, you'd be dreading this game because you just think it's going to happen all over again. That's not to say we're guaranteed to play better and win, but I think we just need to kind of impose our game on, keep it tight early, because it almost feels like every time we go to Ibrox we concede a goal and we're up against it from the first 10 minutes. So we could get beyond that, find a solution that works. It's difficult, this selection, because I thought when Nygren came on, he was really good. Last night I thought he does that thing where he doesn't see the pass or he doesn't see the overlap from the fullback. So selection's going to be really important. And I think the fact that it might go the distance, it might go into extra time or whatever, you need to be mindful of that when you're making subs and when you're selecting the starting lineup. So yeah, I think we need to go for it early doors. But keep it tight as well, which is easier said than done. But
one positive that we've got is if it does go long, we do have a week of recovery before the Motherwell game. There's no midweek game, so we can, as Barry said, you can leave it all out in the pitch there and still have that recovery time. What's your kind of thoughts?
Definitely. Again, I think Barry's bang on. You would hope that psychologically after the game at the weekend, they're going to be in a bad place, which was something we haven't mentioned today, but I took great pleasure in. Obviously that first half was awful, but the fact that they were ahead and they thought they had it and they were all yes, smash, done, there's your hope, destroyed, there's your dreams, ripped apart, burnt down to the ground, you dirty sorry. So that was great. But hopefully mentally they're done. As Barry said, the fans turned against them. It became toxic. So you'd hope we can take advantage of that. And if we are actually ready and switched on from the start, maybe we can get a wee sucker punch in that.
Do you know what I think is going to affect them? See the fact that they were 2-0 up, and I think they thought there's no way in. And I think anyone's thought they would come back. See the fact that we did come back, I think that will be on their mind. So even if they go 1-0 up, I think that's going to psychologically affect them.
I think what was kind of apparent for them is I saw someone say this on Twitter, they put like 75 minutes worth of effort into the first half and they were just burnt out, and then they didn't know what to do because they didn't have the energy. We were passing rings around them. It's almost like they get too hyped up to try and be out of sight in the first half, and then if it doesn't happen, the doubt starts to creep in because they've had so many failures in recent times. So I think that's something that we have to be mindful of. Even if we do concede, it'll still be in the back of their mind that we have the wherewithal to come back, so that might help us.
I love the word wherewithal. Thanks. I
should think of a werewolf.
And on that bombshell, listen, in terms of the Cynic, you can check us out, as I mentioned, the cynic.co podcasts, 36 podcasts a month. So, check it out, almost daily podcast.
I know.
Get
some overtime coming up.
Working up. Monday we have the agenda. Tuesday we have the debrief, where we debrief and break down every game from the weekend. Wednesday we have the Celtic Women's Football Show. We also have, if there's a game on, we have a reaction. Thursday we have the Cynic Weekly. Friday we have the weekend update, and then we have reactions to the games. We also have previews, we have features, we have lots of different things. If you sign up, you get access to over 3,000 podcasts.
3,000
podcasts, which includes the Cynic Wars, which includes lots of fun, the Cynic Chronicles, which is a great podcast with Barry.
You're coming up to the end of this season. Celtic win, but then you're bored. There's no football.
Keep it up. Yeah, get involved.
Back into the archives.
Yeah. The Red Wine podcast will never be released, but we'll see if we can make something happen about.
If 500 people sign up.
Yes, we will release the Red Wine podcast. Listen, an absolute joy. We'll be back next week. As I say, we will continue the look ahead to the Rangers game on Sunday, which we'll have a reaction for. We'll do that tomorrow with the weekend update. But Barry Gallagher, a pleasure, a joy as always. Terrific.
Loved it, and fingers crossed we can have another positive week and do this all again next week.
Lovely. But Boud, we'll see you on the reaction on Sunday. Few cans deep.
Good to know. Forgot that.
Well, have a nice time. Chrissy Boud, a joy as always.
Hail. Let's get it right round them.
Lovely. From Chris Boud, from Barry Gallagher, from myself, Chris Gallagher, this has been the Cynic Weekly, and we'll speak to you down the road.